Happy Saturday! So, new to my channel, wondering who I am, what this is about? Well, I'm Caitlin. This is GBR Life vlog, and I talk about anything and everything. Got reviews, parenting hacks, and in this case, this is a vlog, because this is real life, about unemployment, stimulus checks, and is this causing the American people to not go back to work? So thanks for checking out my blog. Let's get into it. But first and foremost, let's get an intro right now. I'm sure if you clicked on this, you're thinking, and maybe I'm wrong, but you might be thinking, oh, for sure, it's the stimulus checks, it's unemployment, and people need to get back to work, and if not, people are just lazy, blah, blah, blah. Or you might be on the other side of thought, thinking, absolutely wrong, it's not the stimulus checks, it is not unemployment, it is not what people are saying out there, and that's really what I'm noticing, is that we have these two big, completely different viewpoints on this massive topic. Why? Because you've got business owners and you've got employees. The United States, something that I don't think a lot of people realize, is built on the backs of small businesses. Small businesses rule the roost. We have so many that are created and destroyed every single year, all the time, and that's okay. That's normal. A little piece of hair fell and it bothered me, and I'm also afraid of spiders, so I'm like, is it a spider? It wasn't a spider, it was a piece of hair. Anyways, we have these small businesses, myself included, GBR Life, but we are what keeps the United States going, and that was seen a little bit more during the pandemic. In the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, obviously we're still in the pandemic, but what that means is we need small businesses to continue to survive. So if we need these businesses to continue to survive, we also need the employees to go and actually work at these places. But what have these employees been dealing with? What is the reality of people, especially in customer service, the people who work at McDonald's, the people who work at that restaurant in the corner, the people who are working in grocery stores? What are they dealing with on a day-to-day basis from all of us and from their employer? Now, in this topic, which I did write a blog about it, and if you're interested, go to gbrlife.com and you can always search for it, unemployment benefits. But the thing here is that when we're talking about employers, we've been living in the United States basically as employees who have very little say about a lot of things. I mean, it's basically slave trade. Let's not even slave labor. I'm sorry. Let's not even pretend like it's not worse than it actually is. It's pretty bad. It may not be as bad as other places, but it's definitely not the way that we are painted in movies and things. In the United States, I mean, you don't get a lot. You don't get a lot of, basically you have to work so hard practically until the day that you die. You work really, really hard to be taken seriously. And if you stop working really, really hard for whatever reason, which includes you get sick, you are no longer important to that employer, and they let you go like it's nothing. And that was something that the pandemic changed for a lot of companies, because they realized, oh, my employees get sick, and if they get sick, I can't keep things going. And what's happened is there's this shift change in the world that has occurred, not just in the United States, like I said, in the world, that we need healthy people, and we need to value health more than we have ever before. And that's something that's wonderful, because we're actually taking the time to realize that health matters. We can't keep going to work sick. especially the United States, we can't keep putting our health in the back burner. However, we have been putting our mental health in the back burner, but that's a subject for another day. And now, with the pandemic starting to get to ease up in some ways and also get worse in others, and this dynamic shift is happening, we are in another realm of issue where we have people trying to get back into the norm, wanting to hire people, wanting more of that, I guess, normalcy to happen. And we have employees who don't want to go back to work. But the question is it happening because of that stimulus check and unemployment benefits? Or is it happening because people are sick and tired of being treated badly, of not being cared about in the very beginning of this pandemic, and it taking forever to be taken seriously that they need help because they were just losing their jobs and there was no jobs? Because then there was this also big train of people, big crowd of people who kept saying, well, then get another job. Well, then get a trade. Well, it's your fault that you're in that situation, so figure it out. And these people did. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize too, that are on that one side, is those people did get certificates and enroll in courses and stuff. And at this point, because we've been in this situation for quite some time now, they may not be graduated, but they're almost graduating. They don't want to go back to being a McDonald's employee. There's nothing wrong with being a McDonald's employee, but let's take McDonald's for a moment. McDonald's is on the train of, we need to take away the stimulus checks and we need to take away unemployment benefits to get people back into work. And I know this because they were on the news. There's been articles written about them complaining about the fact that they don't have the people to hire because of this. But here's the thing about McDonald's, and this is my problem with this entire situation. It's not even just the small businesses, it's the big businesses. This big business, McDonald's, has decided to make that statement. Meanwhile, they pay their cashiers and regular employees all the way up to managers between $8 to, I believe it said $11 an hour. The government is giving $600 a week. It has been known via analysts and calculations that it costs about $15 an hour for a person to be able to survive in the United States, because cost has continued to go up, but salary has not, which is why it was in a lot of discussion during the election of bringing up the cost of, the pay for people and the federal, oh my God, I'm forgetting words right now, of how much people need to be paid in order to survive. So here's the facts. They're not being paid enough in McDonald's to survive. Now, if you're thinking, well, it's like teenagers who are doing this job, some cases it is, in some cases it isn't. And that's the whole point here, is that, okay, so if people are expected to survive and this is the job that they have, it means that they have to get multiple jobs in order to survive. And you expect them to want to come back in droves when they're being treated badly, because let's face it, a lot of people don't treat somebody who works at McDonald's very nicely. And that's not a good thing. So if you're one of those people, you shouldn't treat people badly, just saying. But also, so the horrible customer service experience with a lot of Karens and Chads. And then you have upper management who doesn't care about you, and reading a lot about what it's like for a McDonald's employee in particular, and I'm picking on them because they made the comment. They basically say these employees are saying, well, you better work your butt off and prove that you are something to be seen, or you're going to be making that $8 to $9 an hour for years. You're not going to get any raises. Now, I personally understand this because I've worked in the retail world, not in the food industry, and my raises were about 10 cents. If I was considered a good employee, after like a few years, you could get like a 10-cent raise. So you could be working somewhere for 20 years and you've gone up $1 from when you first started working. Can we just take a moment and think about that and realize that? And if you're sitting there in your cushy job and you're thinking, oh, then get a better job. We have to stop acting like people just do things out of pure laziness. There are people out there who are lazy and they do things out of laziness. But that is not the only reason people are in the situations that they're in. And it's a shame that all we do is associate, if someone doesn't have the most sparkly job and the most perfect situation, to you are lazy, when the majority of the people in the United States, it's statistically stated, 2 paychecks away from being homeless. So you explain to me how that's the majority of the United States. We've just gone through a pandemic and people were struggling. There's more people on the streets than ever before, homeless and struggling and asking for help. Small businesses also needed help and received help, but we're gonna complain about the people who are continuing to use that help, but are also trying to either better their lives or not want to run back to a place that didn't treat them great the first time. Can we take a moment and realize that the problem is not the employee, it's been and is the employer, and it's been that way for a long time. There used to be a time when employers were loyal, where they gave the employees things and made them feel good. I'm not talking about material things, and sometimes it's just a matter of knowing that you are loved where you work. But when you are just a piece of nothing to an employer, where you work your hardest, where you are sick, where you don't get time off, you are going back into work, doing everything you possibly can, and something happens, but you're the one who's let go, even though you put so much time and energy and you gave them your soul, but they don't care and they replace you tomorrow, and we're gonna keep acting like that's okay. This happens because in the United States, we're programmed to think that way, that's normal, that's okay to be treated that way. The fact of the matter is that that's not how the rest of the world is treated. And if you want to be in the train of thought that America is the best place on earth, I love America. This is my country, but at the same time, we have our flaws. And it's really important that in times like these, we band together, which is why I wanted to do this video, and say, no, it is not okay, McDonald's, who made, from 2019, they made 7.5% more in revenue than they had ever previously. And it was a big deal in 2019. But then this past year, they just made 9% more than they've ever made at $5.12 billion in revenue. And they're not really increasing the money that they're gonna pay the employees, even though they made more than they've ever made during a pandemic. And they're gonna complain because they can't mistreat employees. They can't get people to come in and go to work and be treated that poorly easily. But they're gonna say that it's the employees who are lazy. Well, how about it's you big businesses are not treating people correctly? It's not just about the customers that are coming in. It's also about that employer who's coming in, and we can't forget that. We have to remember that people are treated very bad often by these companies. Why would they run back to that place to go back to work? In addition to, they did do better and they have been doing better. So if you are in the train of thought of people are lazy, I'm sure by the end of this video, you're like, oh, you are so wrong. And you have every right to feel that way, and that's completely fine. And go ahead and make your negative comments, it's completely fine. In some ways, I'm actually hoping that we get that conversation going, because we do need change, and you need to say what you need to say at the same time. I'm on the train of thought of this is not okay, and I don't want to go back to the employer's world where they continue to treat people however they feel like and use these things in times that people actually need help when they have been helped time and time again. and they continue to walk all over their employees and get all the money off of their backs. When we are living in a world where CEOs are making 3,000 times that of the regular employee, but who actually does the job. And if someone says, oh, well, because they're at that CEO level, when you're talking about somebody making billions and billions of dollars, or some cases just millions and millions, but hundreds of millions of dollars for doing what they're doing, and your employees actually made it happen, who made the task at hand happen, and they're getting paid maybe $50,000 a year, struggling to get a car, you know what, let's say $100,000 a year, struggling to get a car and a home and continue to afford to pay bills because how much cost of living has gone up across the country. And they're sitting in their mansions, but that engineer or that professor, and I'm saying big professions on purpose, these very good, well-known professions are doing the best that they possibly can, but you're sitting there in your mansion. I have a problem with that. We are not going in the right direction. We need to stop with that people are lazy, and we need to start going back to these companies and saying, and why are you not giving us anything better than you did before? Not because people should have better, but because people should have okay, should have life, should have just enough pay to survive. That's what I'm trying to say in all of this. We should be focused on at least surviving. And that's what it makes me so mad, and again, why I had to make this video. Okay, so how do you feel about it? Do you feel like people are just lazy and that's it? I know personally, I have been lucky enough to continue to have a job through the entire pandemic. I'm an engineer, and I haven't said that very often, but I'm an engineer for a big company, so my husband and I are very happy, and we've been okay during the pandemic in that regard. So when I say happy, I mean we've been very blessed in that sense, and we definitely don't forget that. But what about you? Where have you been? How are you feeling? What has it been like for you? And what are you thinking about this topic? Is this something that you feel just as passionate about? Come on. Give me some comments. I do hear from people, but I often hear from people privately, so it's really great when actually people just talk about it in public. Don't be afraid. Say your comments. Say it publicly. Until next week, I'm sure plenty of you hate me now. Don't unsubscribe. It's just a topic. And I'd love to talk about anything that you might be interested in as well. I figured I would go ahead and end it here because I could rant about this for days. And I'm going to continue with some more review videos. I'd like to go into some different things. But next week, I'm probably going to do a review video. So please, please, please come back, subscribe, and check out my blog. I've got things like this topic that we're talking about right now. You can go check out that blog at gbrlife.com, unemployment benefits and the stimulus. Or you can check out some other things like quotes for inspiration. I've got it pretty much all of it. And if you're interested in a podcast, I've also got that. Okay, enough about GBR Life, right? How about Mama Koala? I got Mama Koala clothing. Okay, I'm done. MamaKoala.com, gbrlife.com. I'll talk to y'all next week, and don't forget to subscribe.